Can Danny Jacobs pull off the miracle upset versus Canelo? I don't know, you guys. Let's find out. So first off, what we're going to be looking for, or what I'm looking for when I look for a fighter, or when I want to figure out how well they're going to do in a fight, the things that I look for are how they set their punches up, so like they're feinting, they're probing. I look for their ability to, their active guard, right? How much do they move when they're on the line with their opponent, right? Do they give them different looks? You know, probing, feinting, that's part of having an active guard. It facilitates the same responses from your opponent, makes them think, makes them wonder, right? If you give your opponent a puzzle to solve, they have to spend time solving it, mental energy solving it, figuring out how they're going to attack you, right? And that's why it's so important to have an active guard. You have to give your opponent a puzzle to solve, right? As well as ask them questions, when as we saw with the Regis Prograis fight, right? When you slip, when you move your shoulders and you rotate your hips and you give your opponent different looks with those shuffles and those slips, you make them think something, right? You're challenging them. And that's the first criteria is an active guard. Then setting up your punches. How well do you set your punches up? And then usually I look at how well you defend yourself after you punch your opponent as well, right? It's not, and I think about that as defense rather than your ability to slip and block punches, because I think if someone throws a punch at you and you don't block it, you're just an idiot, okay? You don't get points for moving your head because someone threw a punch at you. That's what you're supposed to do, right? So anyway, moving on. We're going to get into the fight. And we're going to be looking at, I don't want to say this guy's name, Selecki, but it's Solinsky. I don't know, man. But I chose this fight because I think that this is how Canelo is going to fight Danny Jacobs, and this is how Danny Jacobs is going to fight Canelo. That's what I think. So the first thing I want you to notice, Danny Jacobs' stale guard, right? Look at how he's taking these steps, right? Look how he takes a step. He's not shifting any of his weight at all, right? So he's completely out of position. He's not going to feel like it. His opponents are not even going to see it. But you can see that he's not even able to punch when he's moving like this because all his weight is stuck in one place. His weight is behind him right now, right? And that's not where you want your weight when you're transitioning your weight from your back foot to your front foot. You want your weight to be transitioning to your front foot, but he just kind of gets stuck there, as you see here. And then Solinsky just throws a punch at him, right? And unfortunately for him, it winds up being a feint, right? Feint jab, and then he thinks it's another jab, and it turns into a hook. Now, this is 10 seconds into the fight, and the reason that this is important, number one, that's one of Canelo's favorite attacks, right? Feint the jab, get them to open up to catching the jab and then throwing a hook instead. But number two, it shows you how reactive of a fighter Danny Jacobs is. And that's a big problem for him. Now we're going to see a little bit more of it here as he tries to time Solinsky, right? Not doing it very well, doing a very good job. But look at when the punches come, he doesn't move. He starts to move off the line, but he moves straight back in a straight line, right? But he's not reacting very well to those punches either, right? He's not slipping them. And then he winds up getting walked into this beautiful right hand from Solinsky. So let's just watch that again. So Solinsky's slipping back, slipping forward, right? And this is the same motion you use to throw a right hand. Slipping forward. Jacobs misses the timing, slips forward, right? And now as he shuffles forward, see how he slips first? And then after he slips, he throws that right hand and nails Jacobs. And this is because Jacobs is a reactive fighter. He doesn't understand that he's in danger here because he thinks that he's going to be able to see the punch coming, but he doesn't realize that Solinsky has already put himself into position to land this shot. Now, he slipped first, right? There's not going to be a ton of power, but he's able to touch him right there. A little bit, like you can see the moment in which he's already turned, and you can see where he loses the power, as you see right here. Right here is where he needed to let it go, but he's already transitioned his weight, right? But he just continues to commit to the shot anyway. And that's just for you guys who are fighters yourselves, if you're looking to improve in that regard. But you can see where he loses his power because his weight has already been transferred, but he still lands a great shot on Jacobs. And that's because Jacobs, again, very reactive fighter, right? He doesn't see when the right hand is already there. And as you see when they're in this clinch right here, right? Solinsky's already turned over, and all he has to do is put his glove onto Jacobs' face and land a hard right hand, right? And again, that's because Jacobs doesn't understand that the weight transfers are what are indicative of throwing punches. And again, very reactive defense from Jacobs. He's not really controlling the space. He's not feinting. He doesn't have an active guard. He has nearly no way to stop his opponents from doing whatever they want in the ring. And the reason that this is showing itself at the highest level and not the lower levels is because the lower level fighters also don't have active guards. Not only that, but they are also guilty of what most professional fighters wind up kind of having a problem with is that they stop fighting like they're fighters at some point in their career when they think they have to take this real serious, be really disciplined, be really sharp, and they don't understand what fighting is in the first place. You know, Daniel Jacobs is trying to solve the wrong puzzle right now. Right now, the puzzle that he's trying to solve is for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? So his opponent throws a jab, the perfect counter to the jab is slipping to the inside and throwing a right hand over the top, right? So he's trying to have the perfect counters, the perfect answer to everything, rather than, and that's reactive, right? That's the problem with Daniel Jacobs in any capacity of his boxing is that you see that throughout, you know, all of his fights. I did another video on him before he fought Derevianchenko, who I think was going to beat him. If Derevianchenko didn't get dropped in the first round, I think he would have won that fight. That was a 2-point round, and I think he was winning it before. To be honest, there's an argument that he won the round in spite of getting dropped. But without doing film study and really taking that into account, I don't really want to talk about it. But the idea is that Daniel Jacobs is a very reactive fighter. And here he just assumes that he's going to have the defense here to keep Solinsky off of him. But he has no idea what punches Solinsky is going to give him. Now, the problem with this is we know how to figure it out. You just have to feint your opponent. You have to ask them a question. From this position, Solinsky can do anything. He could throw a jab. He could throw a right hand. He could throw a left hook to the body. He could throw a right hand to the body. But you have to ask your opponent what they're going to do to how do you say it? To narrow down the amount of opportunities that your opponent is likely to take when fighting you, right? And that's how you do it. You feint them. You make them commit to something. You have to ask them that question so that you know how to attack them. And we'll talk a little bit about that later in the fight. But as you see, Jacob's not reacting very well, right? Oh, he's slipping here. He's slipping again, but he's completely out of position. This is going to be very, very bad for him in the fight with Canelo. And again, you can see it here, how he thinks Solinsky is just going to be slipping forward, but he catches him with a great right hand. And again, Daniel Jacobs being very reactive, saying, okay, the right hand hits him, and then as he transfers his weight to pull back, like the pull counter, he tries to come in with that Danny Garcia-like left hook, right? But he misses. He's just too late because he doesn't understand when the punch is coming in the first place. And then again, you know, more reactive style defense. And he doesn't understand that he's already out of position and he's getting cracked with this right hand, even though he has his guard up. Because again, it doesn't matter how good your quote-unquote defense is, right? If someone throws a punch at you and you don't block it or slip it or counter, you're just a dummy, right? You're just a dummy. You don't get points for blocking punches, right? You get points. Your defense is predicated off of your ability to defend yourself when you're out of position. And Daniel Jacobs finds himself out of position a lot, and he's not able to get out of these shots. And then again, you know, thinking that he's going to have the right tools and just eating a left hook here because he assumes that Solinsky is going to just be slipping and rolling and telegraphing his shots, or quote-unquote telegraphing his shots. But he just doesn't respond well to people standing in front of him asking him questions. He doesn't have the answers to the questions himself. And Solinsky is able to pick up on that. And as you see here, just stand right in front of him and land punches. Lands a great right hand right there. And again, that's because Danny Jacobs does not move his head. He doesn't move his hands. He doesn't feint. He doesn't probe. There's just nothing really enticing about his guard, right? He's just there hoping to react in the right way. And that means that he's easily feinted. He's easily pushed out of position and walked into other punches. Now, he does Now we're going to talk about Danny Jacobs' offense, right? And this is also going to be a huge problem for him. Number one, this combination, he doesn't feint at all before he does it. He just starts throwing jabs and hooks. But also, if you notice, it's hard for the angle, right? But he steps with every one of these punches. And that's another problem. Again, stepping. Look at how far away he is. Is he going to be getting away with shots like this against Canelo, who's a sharp counterpuncher, right? Who also picks up good on timing and patterns, right? But he always steps with his shots and then stays on the line with his opponent. But again, even when he just throws a jab, even when he feints, he still steps with his jab. Feint, step, right? Feint, step, and steps with the jab. Even when he's, no matter what he's doing, even when he's countering, right? Countering the jab, he steps with the jab and throws a 1-2. Decent right there, and this is what I mean by moving off the line or defending yourself when you put yourself out of position. Very Mayweather-esque, right? Get off the line with your opponent. That's very, very good. He's going to need to do that a lot against Canelo because Canelo is going to piece him up with them counters. But even when he comes in, right, he's telegraphing that he's coming in because he takes this huge step first before he starts throwing punches. Again, he doesn't know how to set his punches up. He doesn't know how to ask his opponent how he's going to react to those shots before he throws them. And that means he's going to be in danger for counterpunches all night long. Again, now Solinsky not landing the counterpunch, right? But almost gets pretty close, right? But that's going to be a huge problem. Now, Danny Jacobs, if he continues to move his head, he has decent head movement when he punches, right? That could give some problems to Canelo. But Canelo likes to go to the body with his counters anyway. And that's something that he's really good at. And again, always stepping with his jab, right? Step. Look at that giant step. Solinsky sees that punch coming from a mile away, right? How is that supposed to be effective? Anyway, the next one is... Now, this is interesting because Canelo has a very similar style to Solinsky, right? Fighting off that front foot, right? And Golovkin tried to fight Canelo off that front foot in the first 4 rounds of their first fight, and it really threw Canelo off, and I think that stopped Canelo from being able to fight the second half of the fight in the same manner with the same intensity because he's not used to being challenged like that. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case against Danny Jacobs. I think Danny Jacobs is catching him just too late and off of too great a performance, not only the Rocky Fielding fight, which is what I'll be using to break this fight down tomorrow on tomorrow's video, but oh goodness, but also the Golovkin fight, where Golovkin just is a phenomenal fighter. He's very, very crafty and very smart. And although I think Canelo lost that fight, I think that he showed enough craft, he showed enough heart, he showed enough boxing improvement that anybody below Golovkin's level is never going to have a chance. And I think that that's kind of where Daniel Jacobs kind of falls. But as you see, Solinsky starts slipping and leaning on that front foot, and Danny Jacobs says, oh, this is my opportunity to attack him. But look, he doesn't even really come close. He kind of gets around him that one time with the hook right here, right? Kind of a slapping shot. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to get slapped by Daniel Jacobs. He turns his shots over really well. He just needs to work on the rhythm and timing of his shots a little bit, but he has great power. But in the next clip, right, you see Solinsky, this is just seconds after, leaning on that front foot, baiting that shot from Daniel Jacobs, and then countering him with the left hook himself, right? And that's going to be, again, a huge problem for Daniel Jacobs, is that the only way he knows how to fight a guy like that, he's shown that he can't really fight like that. And also, Canelo is an expert at fighting like that already. He fought Golovkin, who tried to fight him in the same way, and he was able to set up insane counters and insane traps for him that are just like 2 and 3 levels deep, with the feint off a feint, and then walking people into shots. Like, just an incredible skill level and an incredible mental capacity from Canelo that really surprised me in the Golovkin fights. Anyway, there are opportunities for Daniel Jacobs to win the fight, and one of them is right here, fighting on the inside. Somehow, with his wide slapping-ish kind of punches, Daniel Jacobs is able to land really hard shots on the inside, and he did it to Golovkin, landed some like really crisp shots, and he did it to Kid Chocolate. He's knocked out a number of people with just these really, really short inside shots. And that'll be something that I'll be looking for when I break down the Rocky Fielding fight tomorrow. And I do the film study on that and kind of talk about it. But so far, that looks to me like the only way that I think he has an opportunity to win. I don't think his counterpunching is going to be particularly effective, especially because of the fact that he's so easy to bait and get out of position. He's really easy to feint. He doesn't have an active guard. He's very reactive, and I think against a fighter that comes forward, just like Solinsky showed in his fight with Daniel Jacobs, that Daniel Jacobs is very susceptible to that style of fight. And to be honest, I don't remember how I even scored this fight, but I remember thinking that Solinsky almost did enough, I don't know if that's true, but I was really impressed with Solinsky either way. And I think that Solinsky is actually just kind of a poor man's Canelo. I don't think he's actually a bad fighter. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, I have some really, really cool stuff coming out. I don't want to talk about it every day, but in about 2 months time, I'm gonna have some really, really cool stuff. I'm hoping maybe 1 month. I'm not sure. Maybe only a couple weeks. It was supposed to be this week actually, but anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And yeah, thanks for all the support, guys. And also, I'm not sure if it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday if I get the Canelo video out, but I'll tell you what, if you guys share the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But if you share the video and it gets to 5,000 views by tomorrow, then I will definitely make sure to get the Canelo fight out by tomorrow. But I'm not sure, because I do also want to go see Avengers Endgame. I'm super excited. I haven't seen it. No spoilers. Oh god, I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to be spoiled. I hate you guys.